Welcome to the M2 Podcast. I'm your host, Michael Anthony. My co-host, KyleHeath. This is the show where we cover gaming industry-related news. We're talking new and upcoming games, technology innovation in gaming industry space, and of course, some esports and personalities sprinkled in there. But what we like to do is start off with a quick little recap of what we've been up to. So without further ado, Sir Kyle, what have you been up to the last week? Have you been gaming?
You already know, dude. Listen, I took what you said last week personally. All right, you're like,
Oh yeah?
if you're not gaming more than me I have a pretty busy week, so if you're not gaming more than me this week, I'm gonna call you out on it. So I made sure I played some games this
Alright.
weekend.
Which games did you play? I know you've mentioned it to me off the pod,
Yeah.
but I wanna hear what it is.
I mean, it helped when you had a game that you've been wanting to play launch the
That's a
weekend
fact.
after you said that. Right? Like that helps. So Resident Evil 4 Remake came out. I played it. Unfortunately, I didn't beat it before Monday, but I finished it Monday night. So played most of it over the weekend. And I wanted to try my best to get that done before the show. And sure enough, I did. I'll try to avoid spoilers or anything if anyone's like looking to play it. But just know that if you played the original Resident Evil 4, I think it's worth the price tag. It's fantastic. Overall, I think I played it on PC. It ran really smooth on PC.
Nice.
I actually didn't really run into bugs. I don't think, like none that I can really remember. So yeah, I mean it's a smooth experience. You know, when I feel like when you have good source material and you already have a foundation, it really gives them time to focus on, you know, okay, how can we make this different and better, but also let's just focus on making sure it runs well on launch. So
Yeah.
I think it really worked out to Capcom's benefit there, but yeah, overall it was a great game. I think people should definitely check it out for sure. But yeah. And I'm sure if you're around, I'm sure you've been seeing people stream it and everything. It's fun to watch too. Just like there's like costumes and stuff too for the main characters. I mean, granted, most of the time you get that after you beat the game, or like it's like a pre-order bonus if you get like special edition or something. But I didn't. I just went with the vanilla costume because I like how the characters look by default pretty much. But this, and if this is any other indication of how much I enjoy the game, I'm very much thinking about going and doing a new game plus and like actually doing a second run with like all of my gear still, because I don't know, I just enjoyed it and it gives me an opportunity to switch up like, you know, the character models and stuff. So it's very much going to be on my docket, I think, to go back and replay it sometime soon because yeah, I don't know, it was a lot of fun. It's something I want to dive back into, and it's always fun doing New Game Plus for these games because like you keep all your stuff and then you just run through it, and like the first like half of the game is just super easy because you already have like all the OP
Yeah, you
stuff.
just crush it.
Yeah. So yeah,
I love games like that.
yeah, so I'll definitely be doing that at some point. But yeah, that was the main game. I still had not beat Hogwarts Legacy. However, I made progress on that as well this week.
That's good.
And there's actually not. I don't think I have too much left. I mean, I was looking at my save. I'm 29 hours in, so I'm like,
That's a lot of hours.
Yeah,
you should be almost done by now.
It's to the point where I'm like, I just need to finish this out, like, because like there's definitely more side stuff I can do, but I think for the most part, I'm just like, I think I should just finish this out and get this in the can, and then if I want to do more stuff, I can afterwards. But yeah, so I'm definitely gonna be. My goal is hopefully to finish that before the next show, and then I'll have the full perspective there. But there's a lot to do in that game. It's a huge RPG. So yeah, but I've enjoyed it. Looking forward to finishing that out. Other than that, I don't think I really played too much. Those two really took up most of my time. So, but I enjoyed them both. So it's always a good time around there.
Finishing Resident Evil 4 in one weekend is pretty impressive, I think. You just grinded through it. And you did take it personally when I said that, huh?
I'm saying, man, like, I mean, because like,
funny.
I mean, when you said that though, it's a good point. Like, I feel like I really haven't done much anyway. So it's like, yeah, I think this is now like the time where I can start getting back on the list and start playing games.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, it's that time of the year, man. Start doing this. So taking full advantage of it. At least I'm gonna try to. And then I also want to beat Hogwarts Legacy as well before Dead Island 2 comes out next month, because that's probably a game I'll end up popping on. So got to get ready for that.
I feel like that's one of the biggest problems I'm having to deal with, and probably others, of like trying to finish games that you currently have, but also being excited about the next set of games coming out. You know,
Yeah.
it's tough to juggle that. But
Yeah, for real, it is. But yeah, so currently in the middle of doing that, but yeah, I had a pretty solid week of games. Definitely gonna be playing some more this week. What about you, Mike? I saw you've been gaming with some people using the exclamation point Discord. You know what I'm saying? Using
That's a fact,
the good
yeah.
old Discord we got down there.
Yeah, we post all the news stories for anybody that wants to join up. Um, yeah, so for me, I think last week before the pod, like I think I mentioned I was like getting back on Halo 2, the OG X-Link, and like logging into that and playing with people. Well, I I have this long list of games that I'm trying to finish, and I really started back up and finished Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. I had 3
Nice.
missions left. So that was like I like to with Call of Duty games, I kind of take my time and take it as if it's like a tactical shooter where I only have one life, so I slow down.
Yeah.
I don't know. I get like kind of methodical with it, you know. So that took me about an hour or two to finish up the last 2 episodes. It was a good story. I enjoyed it. Then what ended up happening after that, I got on Back for Blood. So I got some friends that joined up. You're more than welcome to join sometime, but I know you want to finish Hogwarts Legacy first.
Yeah.
But tonight we should have a full squad though.
Ooh,
And
that's exciting. That's exciting.
we're basically on the last chapter of Act 1 and we're just going to keep going. Like 3 or 4 of us are just going to just start going full steam ahead and try to beat the game.
Yeah.
We will probably pretty quickly, but it's been fun. Learning intricacies of the map and like how the games work and how everything functions and the card system that they have there, like the pros and the cons, and like how to work together as a team with different difficulties. It's
Yeah.
fun, man. Um, the other thing I started, which I'm actually pretty excited about, is Ori and the Blind Forest. I know I've
Mm.
probably mentioned this to you a few times. I've been wanting to play it, and like last night, I was having a couple of brewskis. I was feeling nice and content and chill, and I'm just on the couch. I'm like, usually I game in this room on the computer, and like, but I'm like on the couch. I'm like, you know what? My Xbox One's here. It's a dated console, but I still have Ori on here. So
Yeah.
I just re-updated, like I updated it. I started playing. I'm like, holy crap, this game is awesome, dude. Have you played it before?
Dude, no, I haven't. I again, good things. That's all I hear. It's on Game Pass too, so pretty much everyone on Game Pass can play
Yeah. I will say this. Maybe it was the booze. Okay. I don't know. But
it.
I was in my feels about an hour in. I was just like, oh my God, this is like a really good, touching story. It
Yeah.
was like very, very beautifully drawn. Keep in mind, it's like I don't have the nicest TV. It's like one of those like Insignia 60-inch TVs. And it's like
Mhm.
1080p. It's not like OLED 4K, none of that crap.
Yeah.
But it still looked absolutely stunning. And I'm like, oh my God, this is like, I'm excited. I'm gonna be playing it later tonight when I get ready to go to bed.
No, that's nice.
So
Dude, you're like inspiring me, like, cause like it's like I have that Switch like just chilling, and it's like I could
you
hook
gotta
that
get
up
on
to
it,
the
dude.
TV outside and like get in the living room, and I could just
Yeah,
living room game. That sounds like a vibe. So
yeah.
might actually
Speaking
end
of
up doing that.
Switch, I sent you this the OLED Switch Zelda Tears of the Kingdom
Yeah.
theme. I am very tempted to buy that. It doesn't come with the game, but it's $360. I think a regular OLED's 350, so it's
Yeah.
$10 more, and you get like a limited copy of their Zelda themed console. And I don't think there is a Zelda themed console specifically for Tears of the Kingdom. So
Yeah.
that will
It
hold
looks
its
it
value.
looks sleek. Can't lie.
It looks
I like
nice.
the design.
I might just buy the Pro controller anyway, because the Pro
Yeah.
controller is wireless and it's $75, which is way more.
Yeah.
Still a lot for a controller, but is it though? You know, like nowadays.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I don't know. I think I ended up getting a Pro controller myself, just because
mhm,
like it's one of those things like you want a solid controller, and Switch's Pro controller is pretty nice. So
yeah.
yeah.
I think I have 3 controllers. I have a Power A controller, which is horrible. Um, like,
Yeah.
don't get me wrong, it's good for Nintendo games, but if you're playing a shooter, you're gonna have a horrible time. Like the joysticks are all messed up and wonky. Uh, but then I have a wired Pro Switch controller, and that thing is phenomenal. And I bought it used. I got it from like a Goodwill for like $20.
Yeah, that's a deal.
So Yeah, so I saw it. I'm like, I need one of these. Then we have like the classic joysticks or whatever, Joy-Cons. So I need one more, or I can basically use my GameCube adapter that I got.
Yeah.
I don't know if I mentioned that in the pod or told you about it, but I got a GameCube adapter for like my PC and my Switch. So the only problem is I only have 3 GameCube controllers too. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, that's basically what I've been up to, man.
Nice.
Just trying to get back into gaming. That's like the goal. What I'm trying to do: go through old games that I haven't finished and fall in love with gaming again, and get the heck away from these toxic AAA developers that are like ruining my nostalgia. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So
Well said. Well said.
that's what
Yeah.
I'm trying to do.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I want to get in. I want to get into some games too. So, and like now, it's like I think it's the perfect time of year because it's like transition into summer, and it's like and
Yeah.
this is not only kind of where I think a lot of stuff maybe slows down a little bit, but it's also where like the drought kind of starts to happen when new releases. So it's like the
Exactly.
perfect time
Yeah.
to go back and just like get caught up.
Yeah. There are a couple of bangers coming out this month though that we're gonna mention at the end of the episode. But yeah, it's like it's not completely dry. It's not completely dry. So
Yeah, definitely not. Definitely not.
yeah.
It's like our
But I
articles,
feel
Mike.
like
It's like our articles,
yeah. Yeah, I was about to say, I feel like we've ranted enough about them too. Let's just go ahead and jump into the news for the week.
Yeah, let's go for it, dude. Just gonna dive right in. We have a nice little first article here about a game we've discussed recently. I know we talked about not the best news recently for this game, but we talked about MultiVersus a little bit and how especially recently, I think it was said that 99% of the player base had sort of dropped off from when the beta launched for MultiVersus, and yeah, as a fighting game, it is not doing that well. Well, on top of that, it was announced that the devs themselves, Warner Brothers, announced that the fighting game is going to be shutting down this summer. 2022's Fighting Game of the Year is shutting down this summer, but don't panic. MultiVersus will be back in the summer of 2024. Yeah, they're shutting down.
Full year off.
Full year. In 2021, Nickelodeon came out with a Smash Bros. Type fighting game called Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl, which I actually remember. I like vaguely remember that. Like, and saw some streams of that.
Yeah.
It starred many of Nick's big cartoon franchises and was kind of disappointing when it was first released. It had no voice acting, and the gameplay was not fun at all. And the levels were not great. This is all coming from Bell. I love this. I don't know if we've covered this outlet. Bell of Lost Souls.net is this outlet.
Yeah, this is a new one for us.
Yeah, definitely is. And the I love the author's Spider Mike's his nickname, but it's Michael Rojas, I think is his real name. So a little tag name there, but he said turns out that Nick was working on a fighting game. Warner Bros. Turns out while they were working on a fighting game, Warner Bros. Was also working on one as well. Sensing blood in the water, they released a trailer for a Smash Bros. Type fighting game called MultiVersus in 2021. The trailer immediately won people to its side and revealed that many of the characters would have their current or most popular voice actors like Kevin Conroy, John DeMcGoy. I'm gonna mess up these names. Just saying. Macy Williams, Matthew Lillard, and more. The game is being developed by Player First Games. It was released in open beta in July 2022. It has been getting updated consistently since then. It was with a very dedicated fan base. The game even won the Best Fighting Game of the Year at both the Game Awards 2022 and 2023 DICE Awards. Well, gamers enjoying the game are in for a rude awakening. The game director of MultiVersus, Tony Hole, I don't even know how to say that. How do you say that, Mike? I want you to take a stab at it. Hune?
Hune?
Yeah.
Here, you keep talking. I'm going to see if I can find it.
Tony Hune has been very open about the game on his Twitter since the open beta started with updates on the game's characters, playlists, and seasons. Hune has some unfortunate news.
Win.
Like
win with an H.
like a wisp. Win.
Yeah. Kind of.
All right, Win has some unfortunate news at the time around this, hoping for Season 3. The game will be shutting down the servers as of June 25th and will be back in early 2024. Players First Games has issued a full statement as well as Win's video on the Twitter page to let gamers know what comes next for MultiVersus and what to expect while the game servers are down. We know that there's still a lot of work to do. This is a quote from the developer. As a result, we have a clearer view of what we need to focus on, specifically the content cadence of new characters, maps, and modes to give more ways to enjoy the game, along with updated netcode and more matchmaking improvements. We'll also be reworking the progression system based on your feedback and looking at new ways for you to connect with your friends in the game. To do this the right way, we will be closing down MultiVersus Open Beta on June 25th, 2023. As part of this process, we'll be pausing updates and taking the game offline as we prepare to launch MultiVersus, which will be targeting for early 2024. No set date. Kind of concerning a little bit, maybe, but it's kind of just a window right now. But yeah, it's I'll just continue a little bit more with the article. So shutting down the game for now just makes sense if the game is not complete. This is just another instance of releasing a game much too soon, with the game needing more balancing, bug testing, and work on getting each new character to work with the existing ones without having the current player base asking for more. Some games are able to get away with early access when it is much more cooperative or just a single-player game. This being a fighting game, though, makes the audience very aware of any issues or changes to the characters, since balancing is incredibly tough. Hopefully, this will give the developers the time they need to fully release something that both the gamers and the developers are happy with. So yeah, it's very interesting for this fighting game. I think we saw between it coming out doing very well on initial launch and release, and then it seems kind of as the time has gone on, there's the issues with the game have become more and more glaring, and so the community's kind of just stepped away, and so now they stepped away. So many have stepped away to a point where the developer says, all right, we're going to take this offline and try and make it right and just try again next year, kind of thing. Do you think it's the right move? Do you think MultiVersus has a chance to make a comeback, so to speak, next year if they fix everything?
Well, I'll keep going back to No Man's Sky. If any game can make a comeback, like like No Man's Sky made the comeback that I never thought would ever happen, to the point that now I have faith in any other developer or game doing the same thing. So I think Multiverse kind of got a lot of honeymoon kind of phase where everybody on Twitch, YouTube was talking about it and playing it, but maybe there just wasn't enough substance or depth to it. It's hard with like stage fighting games, like with this style that's I can only say is like similar to Super Smash Bros. You know, it's pretty difficult because it's like the Smash community in a way is sort of divided. They don't really play Ultimate. It's more like it's a melee crowd. And that game came out 20 years ago, it feels like. So I think these types of games are very, very community driven. And maybe there wasn't a strong community presence that kept people around long enough. I don't think it's concerning, though. I think it's probably a smart move. Instead of just saying, like, hey, the game died, it's like, okay, let's just say that was a soft launch. It's like, let's give it a little bit more build up and then show everybody all the cool stuff that we're getting and all that kind of thing. The major issue that they had, and we talked about this in a previous episode, was their level of monetization with cosmetics. If you remember that.
Yeah, I do.
They were like $15 to $20 for like a skin that wasn't even that great.
Yeah.
It's like it's a free to play game, but come on, guys. It's a tough balance, I think.
Yeah,
so
it very much is. And I mean, I would say probably the same thing. Yeah, there's certainly a chance that they can come back and make it great, but it seems like there's a lot they need to figure out, and maybe seek to other resources to try and help out, and maybe speak to like veterans and fighting game devs and stuff like that understand like balancing a little bit more and see what they could probably do. But yeah, I think with a little more time it could be good. But yeah, it's but I mean, you're right. It's probably the smart move to just kind of just take a break and feel things out, and see if they can make a solid video game.
Yeah, it's a shame. I never got around to playing it. Did you?
Nah, I just watched a bunch of streams, really.
Yeah, it looked like fun. People told me it was like pretty difficult to play, but I mean, I guess we're gonna have to give it another try, probably soon. I mean, it's gonna be taken off soon.
Yeah, in June. So
yeah, I'd feel bad for the players that have been buying all these cosmetics and like really sinking money into the game just for it to be taken offline. That's not going to feel great for them.
Yeah, it's going to be really crucial for them to figure out, okay, how are we going to compensate the people that have spent money? Like, are we going to keep those in there when we reactivate? Are we going to give them credits? Like, it's going to be the deal. So
It's true. There's a lot to work through,
yeah,
but
no kidding.
I'm not doom and gloom on it. I think it's a really good idea. I really like some of the most famous historical IPs ever in this
I mean,
one
dude,
game.
yeah.
It's
I mean,
madness, dude.
and that's just it. Like, you do this right. I mean, this is you can get a solid game, and I think you can get something a lot of people want to
Yeah.
play if you get a lot of known characters. So it's
Oh,
almost
for
like
sure.
bound to not fail, assuming they can, get the balancing and everything right and figure out the monetization. But we'll see, I guess.
Yeah.
For
I think it'll
sure.
work out for him.
Yeah, hoping for the best. Give them 1 year from now to make it right. Even though, who knows? We're given a vague release. Could it get delayed? Yeah, probably. But we'll see. Hopefully not.
I assume everything's getting delayed nowadays.
Yeah, no kidding.
But the one thing that didn't really get delayed, I mean it did, but it didn't, is one of your favorite games ever is Resident Evil.
Yes, sir. Resident Evil 4, baby.
You know what's kind of crazy? I haven't really played Resident Evil 4, even though the game is like 17 years old. I think it came out on GameCube or something like that. It's like one of the top. It's like one of the top selling games on GameCube outside of their regular like Nintendo IPs.
18
So like
years
not
ago.
Mario, not like Zelda and stuff like that. Yeah, ages ago.
18 years ago, Mike. Just think about that.
Jeez.
2005.
I don't even want to say how old I was during that. It's crazy. 2005. Jeez. All right, let's get into this article. This is coming at you from IGN. Ryan Dinsdale, who we've covered plenty of his articles before, he's titled this: Resident Evil 4 Remake sells 3 million units in 2 days. Holy
2
crap.
days, dude. 2 days.
And keep in mind, that's not money. 3 million units sold.
Right.
So 3 million times the cost of the game is how much they've been making.
Yeah. Kidding.
Depending on region. But okay, let's get into it. So Capcom has revealed that Resident Evil started after selling more than 3 million copies in its first 2 days on sale. This appears to give Resident Evil 4 the best launch of all the remake titles, as Resident Evil 2 had only shipped 3 million units in its first week, and Resident Evil 3 only confirmed to 3.9 million sold after a year and a half on the market. The 3 million number references worldwide sales of the highly anticipated remake and also across all consoles, so PS4 and 5, Xbox One and the Series X, and Series S, and the PC. So it's a game Capcom has been hyping up for a while, not just because it's a remake of what considered one of the greatest games of all time. The publisher released a special demo ahead of Resident Evil 4's launch that includes a sneaky, super hard mode, and it even made promises of free DLC. So what do you take from that so far, Kyle? Before we go any further, I gotta know. Is that what you've been experiencing?
Are they wrong? You know what I'm saying?
Are they wrong?
Are they wrong? No, I don't think so. Dude, I mean, I should say, yeah, one of the greatest games of all time. For me, it's top 3. I'm not gonna lie. Like, it's up there, dude. Like,
top 3? Do you know the other 2 off the top of your head?
Not really. I mean, I don't know. I kind of have an idea, but I'm just gonna say top 3. I won't say the greatest of all time in my book. I mean, okay, like one of those is probably like Fallout 3 or Fallout New Vegas. It's probably like
you are a big, yeah. You're a big Fallout fan
because RPGs and stuff. That was like my RPG introduction, so that'll always like have a special place in my heart. But yeah, no, Resident Evil 4 is definitely up there. I mean, it's a game that I've played multiple times on multiple different platforms, and I used to even watch like Let's Plays back in the day whenever those were like popping off on YouTube, like early 2010s, like late 2000s. So yeah, I mean, I used to watch that all the time too, Resident Evil 4. So I don't know, this game, it's just I love the story, I love everything about it. I mean, I think the remake is for the most part was a pretty solid rendition, and it was obviously differences, which I think for the most part improved the story from what it once was, because you just have more opportunity to do that, especially with current technology. So yeah, I mean, I think it's a solid game, and there's DLC with, I mean, like they mentioned here, for your DLC. I mean, there was DLC with the original Resident Evil 4, which is like another campaign or storyline for another character that you meet through the story. trying to be kind of vague here, but anyway, so like there's a whole other thing, and I'm assuming they're going to do that for this one. Very much looking forward to that. But yeah, this is I agree with this so far. The hype was real, and I think they met expectations, at least for me.
Yeah, I feel like everything I've heard about Resident Evil 4 and just the level of success it's had historically in the original version of the it makes sense that everybody loves it. I mean, I've heard nothing but good things. IGN over here in the article that we just mentioned, they gave him a 10 out of 10 review, saying that the Resident Evil 4 remake is the series' most relentlessly exciting, refined, and realized to the full extent of its enormous potential. That's a heck of a review, I think.
It is.
But
It is, dude. Very much deserving of it, I think, though. So,
for sure.
something I would agree with.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Should we mention the data miner found?
Yeah.
Or is that what you were?
It's pretty much what I was like mentioning earlier. Like,
Yeah,
DLC,
I'm debating if is that a spoiler.
I mean, not really. I mean,
not really. I mean, it's a remake.
Yeah, it's a remake. Look, I mean, Ada Wong's in the game, but that's not really like you meet her pretty early on, right? That's not like a late game, like like spoiler or anything. Yeah, if you played the original, you already know. Most people are buying the remake. I'm sure I've already played the original. So, but yeah, she did have her own storyline. That was a separate DLC. Very interesting too. It was actually pretty lengthy, and I don't know, it was a lot of fun. So, yeah, there's people suggesting through data mining the Resident Evil 4 code, they're finding a lot of hints that point to that more than likely will happen where they will remake her DLC as well. So very exciting stuff. I'm definitely gonna be playing that when that comes out. So yeah, another reason to hop back on the game. You know, it's like why not? It's like, why would they not do it? You know?
Yeah, they just like you got to keep adding content for story-driven stuff. I think DLC is always a good way, especially if it's free. Yeah, I'm happy for the Resident Evil fans. This is pretty exciting stuff to see like a good remake come through that adds to the legacy of the game and doesn't take it away.
Yeah.
Because we've seen so many games in the past where a new remake comes out or a remaster and it's not a true like rendition of the previous game.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's what I'm saying. A good remake, it honors the source material, but improves on the aspects of it that were lacking or that most people that played the game critiqued it on. I mean, this is kind of minor, but like from a UI perspective, like in the original game, whenever you go to pick up an item, like you go to pick it up and it says, do you want to pick this up or not? And like a menu stops you and prompts you, do you want to pick this up or not? And like back then, it's like you didn't think much about it because it's like, okay, this is just kind of how UI is. But like it's a very similar thing to like Fallout New Vegas. Like when I go back and play Fallout New Vegas now, it's just that little stuff like that pulls you out completely and is like, hey, do you want this item or what do you want to take? Like, I don't know. For me, like I'm just so used to like, especially newer Fallout games or like newer, just more modern UX where it's kind of just like, hey, here's like a little side menu or like you can pick it up or here's like a little menu saying like, hey, like this is what you can pick up, but it's not pulling you out of the game. It's just like you do it real quick and leave and that's it. But yeah, stuff like that in the original game was kind of like I go back and look at that now. I'm like, dude, how did I put up with that? Because I just feel like I'd get frustrated after a while. And I think that's what, especially modern development, that's what people are starting to realize. It's like if there's any way to kind of, make that more smooth and transition that better, then it's probably a good idea.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good idea. So I think I'm looking forward to more remakes, more remasters that add content in the same way that Resident Evil 4 is done. And I think one of the games I want to see a remaster of, I mean, I kind of want to see a remake of Super Mario. Like,
yeah, that's true, actually. Yeah.
It's like one of the most classic Marios ever. And I'd like to see a total remake, just basically the same thing, but Unreal Engine 5 graphics.
Yeah, that'd be pretty sick. Can't lie. Yeah, there's like people were like, I think people used to like, especially like more recently, we're getting like frustrated with like, oh, remakes, remasters, like that. But I don't know, man. Some of the more recent remasters I played, like, I mean, if you do it right, I think it's worth the money and it's worth the replay.
Yeah, I feel like remakes and remasters nowadays is more about people getting on the train. So it's for people that haven't played the game before, never had an opportunity to, but now they can. And they can do it with modern software and hardware.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I'm looking forward to the Silent Hill remake that's like currently in the pipeline.
Yeah.
Probably won't. It certainly won't be this year, and it probably won't be till like next year to maybe see that. But it's something I'm looking forward to. And yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I will say, and I have to point it out, like Capcom with Resident Evil 3 remake, that was very underbaked and very much like it seemed rushed. Like it was a very short game. It was only like 5-6 hours, I think. Like it was just. I remember it being so quick, and it was. I mean, it gameplay wise, it was fantastic. There just wasn't enough of it, and it's kind of like a thing where like I don't know what happened, but something like they should have like fleshed that out a lot more. So they haven't all been home runs, but this is definitely a home run from Capcom. I think like it's I mean like we mentioned in the article. I mean it's up there, competing with like Resident Evil 2. It's like out selling that, and it's like I mean Resident Evil 2.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
I mean I think. Playing this too makes me want to go back and play like the Resident Evil 2 remake and the 3 and like do all that at some point. So yeah, dude, I don't know. I love the stories. I love the games. So they really nailed it with this one, I think.
Yeah, it looks phenomenal. There's no way to say it too.
Sure does.
So it's pretty cool, man. Pretty cool. So I guess we can move on to the next article.
I think we certainly can. It's coming from IGN. You already know. I think we should maybe at this point start a segment each week, Mike, of what's the latest update on the Activision Blizzard acquisition from Microsoft.
Honestly, we might need to
just like start making a segment. Because this article certainly falls into that. This is coming from Anthony Wood at IGN, and it is now Japan's competition regulator actually approved the Microsoft Activision Blizzard deal. Probably won't be too big of an update. This is kind of just saying that someone else is joining on the club. The Japan Fair Trade Commission, or the JFTC, approved Microsoft's acquisition of Activision Blizzard after its review concluded that the deal was, quote, unlikely to result in substantially restraining competition. Japan Fair Trade Commission reviewed the transaction and reached the conclusion that the transaction is unlikely to result in subsequently restraining competition in any particular fields of trade. The review found that $69 billion merger fell under the safe harbor criteria for vertical business integrations laid out in Japan's Anti-Monopoly Act, and that accordingly, the JFTC has notified the parties that the JFTC will not issue a cease and desist order. The decision not to challenge the merger will come as welcome news to Microsoft as it campaigns to convince regulators in the holdout countries, including the United States Fair Trade Commission, that the deal will not harm competition or increase costs for consumers. I mean, we already covered the stuff last week. Talk about, the UK's competition committee, they're extending their review period. And yeah, it's still under further review in some parts of the world. But yeah, I mean, Japan's a pretty big market for video games and stuff, so the fact that they're approving it, I don't know, this is very promising for them. What do you think, Mike?
Well, I think it's kind of obvious to me that Japan would basically be like, yeah, you're good. No worries. There's like no monopoly for Microsoft competing against Sony in Japan, because that's like one of the reports that we have that can tie into this is like how the fact that Japan is predominantly Sony players.
Right.
It's either like Sony or Nintendo, really. And nobody plays the Xbox over there. So
yeah,
it's
true.
It's like I think people barely play the Xbox in Europe, to be honest. But like in comparisons to the United States, North America, and Central America, even there's like it's such a small market. I think to where Japan's like this isn't going to affect our local like country, or economic. What am I looking for here? There's a phrase for it, but it's like a country's like GDP, maybe that's the word I was trying to find. But it's not really going to be a huge battle, so it doesn't surprise me that Japan's FTC is like, yeah, you're good, whatever. You're Microsoft, you guys don't have Xbox here. You know what I mean?
It's a good point. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think it does help Microsoft's case certainly for the other regions they're trying to acquire. Trying to convince about this deal. But yeah, I mean, yeah, kudos to Microsoft. There's not really too much else to say on this, I don't think. But yeah, I mean, the fact that Japan's on board, so that's another significant player in this game that's agreeing to it and saying that we don't see any issue on our side. But that's probably on some bias, that Sony Sony does have heavy influence over there, right? So
That's true.
yeah.
That's true. I think like we're at the stage now where Microsoft is like Thanos with the gauntlet trying to catch all the different Infinity Stones.
Yeah, pretty
But
much.
what they're trying to do is go get like the major uh regulators to agree so they can go to the US and be like, yo, see, everybody else is cool. Like, why aren't you?
Yeah.
I think that's the overall goal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what it's looking like, huh? Like, pretty much. Yeah. Yeah, good on Microsoft for getting Japan on board. But I think it's time we talk about a topic that I wasn't sure if we were gonna hear much about again, but it's kind of unfortunately rearing its head.
Yeah, that's true. It was a weird period. So we're talking about crunch culture in game development studios and how I think Kyle, you could probably agree with me on this, right? Like, correct me if I'm wrong, but we were sort of in agreement that we thought like the crunch culture is kind of dissipated in like modern developing, especially since like everything got locked down 2 years ago. It was like, okay, everything's delayed now. Everybody chill out, work from home, more like the company cultures has started to shift towards making your employees happy, work-life balance kind of thing. There's been a natural shift. Would you say that's accurate?
Yeah, I mean, I probably agree with that. I certainly haven't heard much about it in what feels like a pretty long time. So, yeah, I mean,
Definitely since the
that's
last season of the podcast,
yeah,
for sure.
yeah, for sure. I mean, yeah, it's just it's something you don't hear too much about. I mean, obviously, I'm not saying that it doesn't happen at all. 'Cause I'm sure to a certain extent it does, but
Oh,
it's been a while since we've seen an actual article about it and like going in depth for a company. So it's interesting.
that's true. I wonder if it has anything to do with how this is from Ubisoft Paris and all the like the protests that are going on in Europe right now. This
Maybe.
is might have spurred up this article. So it's from Joseph Yaden out of GameSpot, who we've covered again, at least once or twice before. So the report is titled, well, the article is titled "Report Alleges Crunch Culture at Ubisoft Paris, Including 13-Hour Days." That's just an average day in America, baby. Um, so Ubisoft Paris is mostly the Just Dance developers, and they're reporting that they're suffering from crunch culture, and this is in the NME report. Which, if I can open this, everything is always abbreviated. Let's just jump into the article. It's not easily readily available. So, Ubisoft, the developer of Just Dance series, reportedly suffered from crunch culture, a new report states. The report comes from NME, and NME, yeah, still doesn't. What it's a website, NME.com. It includes an investigation into the French Ubisoft. According to Ubisoft developers, the engine for Just Dance 2023 has had to be changed 11 months before the game shipped. Holy crap. Less than a year. This caused tremendous difficulties internally as employees attempted to learn the new engine. A source said that certain team members were able to learn quickly, which caused management to add more and more features, resulting in a larger workload. Ubisoft apparently still hadn't decided on a production engine 9 months before the production cycle was over. Whew.
Oh,
Oh, that's tough.
oh
Oh, that
man, dude,
hurts.
like 9 months until you only give yourself 9 months for that? Like what? That just doesn't
Bro,
make
that's.
sense.
I mean, you can make a baby in 9 months, but a game? That's a whole nother level, dude.
It's so true, dude.
I don't even know how I feel. It's just like I can't imagine having all your work done and then they rip it apart from you and they're just like, here's new software, figure it out. Also, we're giving you more work. The deadline doesn't change. Make it happen.
What? It's like
Yeah,
uh,
that's tough. Keep in mind here, this is the same developer, Ubisoft. Not did my mic cut out on me?
yeah,
Sorry.
I cut out there.
That was weird. So this is I flicked my my thumb and RTX voice was like, okay, we're done. So Ubisoft Paris, I don't know for sure, but Ubisoft as a whole has had developers basically drop out. They canceled or suspended games outright indefinitely, and they're in total crisis mode right now. They also recently pulled out of EA or E3 2023, and it's just like this article's coming out, and they're basically like, "Oh yeah, by the way, 2023 won't happen." It's kind of nuts, man.
Yeah, no kidding. I didn't even include, I now I'm thinking about it, I didn't even include this article this week, but I mean, I'm pretty sure, yeah, I mean, because you said Ubisoft like is pulling out. I think there maybe have been a couple other devs that are pulling out of E3. I think like Nintendo may have been one of them. I can't even remember. It was pretty significant though, and it's to the point where it's like apparently E3's been real dodgy with their communication to developers and trying to get things out. So it's like it's just not looking good. And it seems like a lot of people are jumping over to Summer Games Fest, and a lot of devs are. So it's a very interesting time. It's just I don't know. It's every week it's looking worse for E3. It's bad.
Yeah, I think E3 in general has lost ability when they took off time for due to like lockdown. They just canceled it outright. Whereas Summer Games Fest didn't cancel. They did everything online.
Yeah.
And they were doing live streams. So it's tough, man. But I guess I can continue on with this article real quick. A couple more things to mention is there was overtime that became the norm during Just Dance 2023 production, as indicated by the Ubisoft source. During daily meetings, some employees were explicitly encouraged to work overtime. This developer says that they worked 13-hour shifts, with QA testers often working upwards of 15-hour days. Some employees reportedly worked even longer. Bro, okay.
Longer than 15? Dog. Nah.
Okay.
There's 24 hours in the day, Mike. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I've worked those hours. I've been in an office for 15-hour days. I know what that's like. But that, like, I live in America. There's not, like, this is kind of a place where we exploit workers and treat them like trash. Now, that's happening in France. I'm pretty sure they got like they got some type of worker rights over there, right?
Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
the European Union's no joke, man.
Yeah.
Like, this to me is like, I don't know much about France, but man, it's kind of nuts. I think it's just wild.
Yeah.
But
I mean, yeah, that's insane, man. Because to your point, if it's America, I'm like, okay. I mean, yeah, that kind of makes sense. Like, it's still terrible, but like that kind of makes sense. Like, it's like, oh man, France, dude. It's like, what?
That's crazy. That's crazy. Because here, let's get into something about social safety nets. Okay, in the United States, for people that don't know this, your health insurance is tied to your employer. So you have to be employed. So your employer gives you health insurance that you also pay for through them. If you lose your job, you lose your health insurance, and it's very expensive to live here. Yeah. So if you get injured, you get hurt, you get sick, you're SOL. I don't think it's that way in Europe. I'm pretty sure they have social safety nets. So it's like, if you're working those days, man, you better love the game or just quit and move. Yeah. I don't know what type of choices they got, but it's Paris. It's like you can figure something out.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it is. It's probably single payer, right? Because I know, like, you know, Europe is for the most part. So it's a good point, though. Yeah, I didn't think about that, but like, yeah, I mean, you're not working for benefits. It's like, like working for.
Maybe money. Maybe they're getting paid well.
Yeah, I mean,
if you're getting paid well, I'm cool with 15-hour days. You know, if I'm getting paid, if I'm compensated adequately.
Yeah,
they said overtime, so maybe they were getting paid bank.
I mean, yeah, if they said, "Hey, we'll keep you here and we'll give you overtime," I'm like, "Oh, okay, how much we talking?" And then they're probably like, I don't know.
For how long? 9 months? 9 months of me just working incredible hours, like horrible hours, but I get paid like time and a half. All right, we'll do that, and then when this project's done, I'm out. You know,
milk it dry.
Go on vacation, go to Bali for like 2 weeks.
Yeah, funny.
Yeah. So that's basically what's been going on over at Ubisoft.
Yeah, crunch culture. It's crazy. I mean, it's still a thing. It's kind of wild. Yeah, I mean, you would hope that especially after all the horror stories we hear, especially over the past like decade, that it would have gotten better, but there's still some developers that succumb to it. Apparently, Ubisoft, a company that we already know. I mean, like you were saying earlier, I mean, it's just shambles. No other way to say it. Like, it's crazy what this company's going through right now. So the fact that they're doing this to the workers does not help their case at the end of the day.
No, it doesn't. I think Ubisoft's gonna be one of those stories, I think, of the year. I'm gonna go ahead and say it. Something's going on with that developer, and they pulled out a lot of major titles, major games, kept things under wraps. It just sounds and feels fishy. So there are gonna be some things coming out. I bet this year where we're gonna get a little bit more. Um, I don't know what to call it. Little bit more feedback of like what's happening.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, it's not a bad take. Certainly agree. Some may think this next one could be a bad take from the United States Congress, but I'll let you be the judge as the listener. U.S. Congress. So this is coming from Game Developer, which I know covered fairly recently. We covered a couple articles, some about the GDC, kind of what came out of that. But they covered an article today. This is funny enough in the business section of the site. It says U.S. Congress calls for intervention. Yeah, it calls for intervention on PlayStation's monopoly on Japan, and monopoly in quotes. After months of warning about Microsoft's potential exclusivity practices, Sony now finds itself called out for how it does business in Japan's gaming market. Members of U.S. Congress are reportedly looking into the PlayStation console's dominance in Japan. Per a recent report from Axios, members from both political parties are calling on the Biden administration to address the Sony console's supposed monopoly over Xbox. Last week, Washington's Democratic Senator Maria Cantwell, along with two House members, expressed concern that Sony made it hard for U.S. companies to compete. Reportedly, Sony has secured all of Japan's high-end console market and may have done so through business practices that violate U.S.-Japan trade deals. For context, Xbox consoles have historically not sold well over in Japan, which leads, I guess, also kind of like, piggybacks off the article we just read about, Xbox just, Japan being like, yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, basically.
Not an issue.
It doesn't matter.
Does it? Probably takes away some of the weight of that acquisition or, the approval anyway. It says, while Sony and Nintendo have a home field advantage in Japan, Microsoft has consistently struggled in that part of the world, whether it's due to lack of titles that appeal to Japanese players or different factors entirely. Per Axios' copy of the letter sent to the U.S. Trade Representative, Catherine Tai, PlayStation has secured deals with the express intent of isolating hit Japanese games. That reportedly led to real impacts for Microsoft and for many U.S. game developers and publishers that sell globally but see their earnings in Japan depressed by these practices. A trade agreement between the U.S. and Japan went into effect in 2019 and has called for the countries to enable, quote, non-discriminatory treatment of digital products such as games. Sony's own business practices are now under Congress radar. Sony is now under the spotlight of U.S. regulators. It isn't a coincidence. Something Axios also notes. The PlayStation maker has spent months pushing back hard against Microsoft's attempted acquisition on Activision Blizzard, claiming that they shouldn't go through as it would lose a prime third-party revenue stream. It doesn't appear that Microsoft intends to rally the same fervor against Sony, but Axios did learn that Xbox creator discussed the issue with Congress. A spokesperson for Xbox told the outlet it welcomes further investigation to ensure a level playing field in the video game industry. To Microsoft's point, Sony does have a history of locking down exclusives. It's the only reason that Ghostwire Tokyo and Deathloop were on the PlayStation 5. Likewise, that kind of exclusivity is why neither Final Fantasy VII Remake or Final Fantasy, is that 16, 15, 14? I can't remember Roman numerals. It appears to be coming to Xbox anytime soon. At the same time, both companies are consistently beaten by Nintendo in terms of sheer sales figures. It's not quite as black and white as Congress would paint the situation, but Sony is far from the only competition Microsoft has in Japan. So that was the whole article. Quick little read. Too much. Yeah, I don't know. What do you think, Mike? Do you think that Sony PlayStation could have a sort of monopoly in Japan?
I don't think it's a monopoly by definition. I think the trade agreement is what they're really going to be concentrating on here. something I didn't know. Like for the longest time, I did know this. This part I did know. What I don't know, I'm gonna follow up with. What I did know is that there are Nintendo and PlayStation exclusive games historically, on like the N64, SNES, stuff like that. All the old consoles and the original PlayStations and stuff like that, where it was Japanese only. Like you could only buy it in Japan. The N64 also has specific style cartridges that are region based, so you can only use a Japanese like Super Mario Bros. You can only use that in Japan on a Japanese N64 or like Super Nintendo and stuff like this. I always knew that. I didn't know that a 2019 trade agreement went through where they can no longer do what is this called? Here, I'll read this again. That trade agreement between US and Japan went into effect in countries to enable non-discriminatory digital products such as games. That means there are no exclusives to the regions. And Sony definitely does that already. So I think like still does that. I think that's going to be an issue for them. Even Nintendo does that actually. So
Yeah.
that's going to be a concern. And this is obviously one of those. Maybe Microsoft has been lobbying and trying to get senators or whoever's in Congress to basically say, hey, you guys need to investigate Japan and what Sony's doing as well. Because they're not really, they're violating a trade agreement.
Yeah, it is. It's rather interesting, huh? Like I think, I mean, yeah, I've certainly learned a couple things too about maybe like politics behind it. Well, not necessarily like politics, but just like the overall, like just trade agreements we have, are those being affected? And it seems like there's there's claims that that those are being negatively affecting our like the trade between the countries and whatnot. So
Yeah,
it's very interesting. So. I mean, I don't know if I necessarily want to say like, oh, it's a monopoly, but like, I mean, I don't know, it could explain why some of the numbers aren't that good for Xbox in Japan. You know what I mean?
That's true. I do think it also like the numbers for Xbox not being good in Japan also is a culture thing. It has to be. Like when you look at a Nintendo or a Sony game made by Japanese developers, you can tell right away it's like a Japanese game.
Yeah.
It's like there's a reason why the US has cartoons and Japan has anime. You know?
Yeah.
It's like there's a clear cultural difference, which makes both countries like really unique and special in their own individual ways. But it's like it's hard to get a console popular over there. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. I mean, that's a good way of putting it. I think yeah, I mean, I would agree with that. I think, it's at least on the Xbox side, it's kind of a it's mostly it's certainly probably not as appealing because, you have the between Sony and Nintendo. I mean, those are already two really good libraries of games, like content rich, so it may just not be as easy. But I mean, Xbox is certainly making it easier to play their games, whether it's like cloud streaming or PC.
Yeah.
I mean, they
free to play, whatever you want.
Yeah, they've been doing that for a while, and so who knows? Maybe those numbers will go up if as Game Pass grows and cloud gaming grows. There's no telling, Mike. There's no telling.
I'm sure it will. I do like all the PlayStation games that are coming out and finally making it to PC, so us non-PlayStation owners can actually play it. So we have to play it late, but hey, I'm not gonna beg, or I'm not gonna pick and choose.
Yeah, it's so funny you mentioned that too, because Last of Us Part 1 came out this past Tuesday, and it didn't have the best best launch, so I heard, which is rather unfortunate considering it's a Naughty Dog game. Now how involved Naughty Dog was with that port, I'm not sure. I mean, I have a feeling they probably weren't, considering there was like bugs and issues with it. But yeah,
probably not
the story. But yeah, I'm sure those will get ironed out fairly quickly. I'm pretty sure I saw articles saying that Naughty Dog was already like pushing to get those fixes out and take the time with it. So should be seeing that soon. Hopefully they make good on it.
That's a good point. You know what else has been going on? If we can switch over to the next article. So this article comes from The Verge. This is Jay Peters from The Verge. We've talked about, I think we've referenced his articles a few times, but this article is about arguably the biggest game out right now. and it also had one of the coolest updates I've ever seen with Unreal Engine 5 is Fortnite. So this article is titled, Fortnite now shows how many people are playing Battle Royale in every other island. So the game's new player counts could help creators see how their islands stack up with Epic's own popular creations. So well, first of all, we should probably give a little bit of context here because I don't think we mentioned last episode. Fortnite did an Unreal Engine 5 update, and they also added a mode where you can create your own maps and worlds, really, and own scenarios. It's complete madness that I've seen so far. Do you think that's an accurate description of what they pushed in the last week, 2 weeks?
Yeah, no, that's pretty accurate. It's like, yeah, I mean, you could pretty much like, it's like a giant like creator mode that is, yeah, just very like you could pretty much make any like game or anything inside it, within the limits. But yeah, I mean, it's wild what you can make in it. Like, there's people, just to give more context. There are people that remade the chapter 1 Fortnite map, like the original OG 2018 Fortnite map in that creator mode. That's how big it is.
That's crazy. Madness. So let's go ahead and continue on with the article. So Fortnite's Discover tab will let you pick from Epic Games made modes like Battle Royale or experiences from non-Epic creators now show how many players are currently participating in any given experience. The change was officially rolled out on Wednesday, and it could be an important tool for creators to benchmark their work against Epic's official modes. You can see the player counts in the game's Discovery tab, which represents the global number of players in match at any given time. And Epic, this is from the spokesperson Dan Walsh from Epic Games. So based on what they saw, it's overwhelmingly clear that Epic's Battle Royale and Zero Build, the no building Battle Royale introduced last year, are dramatically more popular than experiences made by non-Epic creators. Which, I mean, come on, that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's like those are the official game types. So just before publishing this story, which was published the 29th, so Wednesday, the 29th of this week, for Battle Royale, it hovered around 343,000 players, and for Zero Build, it hovered around 255,000 players. But the highest count could find on a non-Epic experience had around 22,000 players. That is live at that given moment player counts, not like average of the day, like at that particular moment in time on a regular weekday, Wednesday at what time? 6:30? 3 hours ago? Eastern time? Like the Pacific's not even off work yet, man. Yeah. And they're at 255,000 players and Zero Build. That's insane. So basically, this article essentially continues on and talks about how the Discovery tab allows you to finally see player counts. I don't think I've seen player counts since Rocket League before they got bought out by Epic Games.
Yeah, I know.
It's been a long time since we've seen that in games. Also, the creator mode, they have this pretty cool game type where you can now make money off of this like creator economy that they made. So your creations can be used to bring people in and like try new games, and like there are scripts going on where people are literally programming new games in Fortnite. I guess similar to Roblox. You showed me Roblox earlier today. Yeah. With how crazy that stuff is.
Yeah, man. It's I do this. I mean, I'll say it now with this new creator system they got. I mean, this could be like a better Roblox if we look down the line. Just because, like, the technology I feel like is more. I feel like the technology is. It doesn't. I mean, don't get me wrong. Roblox is great. It'll always be around. But like, it does look like you're playing Legos half the time. It's like it's very it's very like kid friendly and stuff like that. But like, this is like you're having these are AAA assets that you're throwing into a world, and you can create some cool experiences with it. Yeah, I mean, it could be on par with Roblox at some point, if they keep it up and they, don't like mess it up. But yeah, I mean, I think the more intriguing thing to me now is that the fact that they're showing real-time player count data. And again, like you said, I mean, it's been so long since we've seen that. I mean, the most significant player count that I will always remember, never forget this, when I was playing back in like the Black Ops 1 days for Call of Duty, those... You have to understand, first couple weeks the game was out, it was over 1 million. and they had that in the menus. Over 1 million players on the game playing.
That's
it's like
crazy.
When the first DLC dropped, again went over 1 million. And it's like even when it was kind of like peaking down, I mean, we're talking over 500, 600,000. Like I mean, it was like so many people playing that game. And it's like I think I think devs strayed away from it because they realized like some of the numbers just started getting embarrassing because people didn't want to play the game, and it was just they didn't want to show those numbers. But I don't know. For me personally, I think it's interesting to see these player counts. And I mean from a dev perspective, I can understand. I'm sure there was probably data. When people do see there's not as many people playing the game that they're playing, it probably is like, okay, why am I playing this kind of thing? It probably does have influence. I'm not gonna say it doesn't. But yeah, dude. I mean, the fact that Fortnite's doing this though, it's good to see because I've always been curious, how many people are concurrently playing, and this can give you a rough idea. So I mean, it's upwards of almost like what 600,000, something like that. I mean, that's just the battle royales. That's not even the other modes. So yeah,
it's absolutely insane, like completely insane. A couple of things to mention with just player accounts in general. I think developers try to stay away from it because if you get below a certain threshold, then some gamers might just say, "Oh, it's a dead game. You can't play it anymore. No more playing." That kind of setup. Like Xbox in general, they don't do player accounts for any of their games anymore. I guess except for Fortnite now, but Fortnite's its own thing. But whatever, they do an Xbox most played games list.
Yeah.
To where, and it's region based. So if you look at it from a different part of the country, and you can like change the URL to make sure you can see other areas in the world, but they just rank it basically 1 to 50, and that's it. That's all the context you get.
Yeah.
So I think it's probably to avoid people basically saying the game's dead. Fortnite ain't dead. It's not going to die anytime soon either.
It's definitely not. Yeah, I mean, a little bit further on the article too, they actually mention Roblox. Kind of compare like, oh, the new creative mode is kind of like Roblox. And just some quick numbers. Roblox, they're at about 449,000 people playing at the time of the article was written. The most popular experience, Brookhaven RP. I've never actually played it, but every time I go on, it's 100,000 plus, like every time. I don't know. Yeah, like it's like a role playing thing.
Crazy.
I guess like GTA RP, but for kids, I don't know. Like it's wild though. And then they said at the time of writing this was 116,000 people. What was it said? It said it was about 116,000 more than an actual Fortnite signature battle royale. Yeah, and so I mean that's actually. I completely read that wrong. That's 449,000 people playing on the on Brookhaven RP alone. It's not even. I read that totally wrong. Yeah, I read that totally wrong. Sorry. Yeah, I mean, but I mean, it's still my point stands though. Every time I go on there, I see at least 100, 200,000. Like, I mean, at least, and that's not at peak hours. So, I mean, yeah, dude, that's one experience. I mean, and Roblox has so many, and there's so many different Roblox. Like, there's a game that is literally just Call of Duty in Roblox. It runs very well, and it's very.
I've heard
it is a substitute to COD almost. Like it's just like that's how good it runs.
Crazy.
It's wild. So yeah, I mean, and I think Fortnite's only going to get to that point too, especially if they do the Creator 2.0 stuff right.
Yeah,
and yeah.
I think Epic Games is totally built for that because they already have Unreal Engine 5 and the Unreal Engine series of like bringing in indie developers to work within that engine to create their games, and then they work with a partnership of Microsoft to get on like the indie dev list. It's like this is all. I feel like it might be easier than ever before to make a game.
Yeah.
Like as an indie developer, there's so much like I guess industry standard software that people can use like readily available, and you can also get like a revenue split out of this. So it's like 1 or 2 people in their side hobby can go over here, use Creator Economy 2.0 in Fortnite, create something as insane as what you're talking about from Roblox.
Yeah.
It gets popular and they get, what, 40%? Yeah, they get 40% from whatever net revenues come from that creation.
Yeah. Yeah, it's based on engagement of their island, right? Yeah, I mean, it's based on engagement of their... But I mean, I will say, a great idea too. If there was a dev out there, or there was someone out there that had an idea for a game and they wanted to make a proof of concept, this is the perfect opportunity to say, hey, let's build out just a small version, maybe like put it on Marketplace, see what people think.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, I mean, it's the ultimate time to just toy around with an idea, right? Like, there's no better time.
Yeah. You could use the software as a pitch to go to a big name developer and basically be like, this is what I want to do. I just need funding.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, I mean,
like,
it's the ultimate pitch deck. Like,
yeah,
just here,
it's
here,
perfect.
here's my idea, and here's the baseline concept, and then you could talk about all the other stuff. But yeah, I think it'd be perfect for a proof of concept though, because you wouldn't need to know like you. I mean, I don't know how exactly it works, but you wouldn't need to know like Unity or Unreal, like C
No,
plus. You wouldn't
probably
need to
not.
know C sharp and all that stuff.
Yeah,
C plus plus
it's
and
like a sandbox similar to what Halo's Forge was
yeah,
for
pretty
ages.
much. Yeah, except it's on steroids. So.
That's a fact.
So yeah, I don't know. I'm very excited stuff. I'm curious to see what people are going to do with this. There's already been some cool stuff made. Obviously from a monetization standpoint, people can't like flat out make games without giving Epic a portion of revenue. I mean that's just
Yeah,
obvious.
true.
So it'll be interesting to see. But see, the other thing too is like if you make a proof of concept, are you signing some UELA or some agreement that says if you make anything in here, is Epic somehow
That's
tied to that
tough.
idea? So you got to make sure you read
Probably.
that fine print carefully before you go around doing that. But I mean, yeah, I mean, if they give some sort of freedom with that, it's I think it's a perfect idea to at least try something out.
Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't really even think about that, about how like they could have ownership, possibly like part ownership because you're using their software under their umbrella. Kind of
Right.
similar to
Yeah.
like when if you're working for an employer, whatever you create on the clock is the company's,
Yeah. Or on
not
their
yours.
hardware. If you create something on their
Exact.
hardware,
Yeah.
it's theirs. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah, definitely read the fine print for sure. But it's like if this is something as a side hobby or you're just, I wouldn't recommend trying to make money off of it. But
Yeah, probably
like,
not. But I mean,
yeah,
yeah.
who knows? It could pop off. There's 500,000 people on right now,
Yeah.
so
That's what I'm saying. I mean, hey, if you're not
get ten
necessarily
percent playing,
yeah, I
you're
mean
good.
exactly. Like if you're not worried about like getting a bunch of money, you could still get a part of that revenue share, like that
100%.
Epic's
Yeah,
handing out. So there's still some money to be made.
I can't wait until they branch off and they allow artists, like literal artists, to create cosmetics, weapon skins, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And like something
Yeah,
crazy
dude,
is gonna
I
happen.
saw a screenshot with like a dragon in it, and it looked amazing.
So did I.
I was
It
like,
was
well,
it
what?
was an animated video.
Yeah,
It was insane.
yeah, it was like in Fortnite. You saw the little Fortnite character, and then yeah, it's like this really cool looking dragon in this cavern. Like it looked awesome.
Yeah, it went viral on Twitter. I'm sure a lot of people saw it.
Yeah,
It's pretty cool.
yeah. I mean, I'm looking forward to this. There's a lot that can come out of this. It all is dependent upon how Epic handles licensing and the overall
Exactly.
platform. So
Exactly. But I think that is really wrapping up all the stories we had for this week.
yeah,
Do we miss anything? I know we can talk about the games that are coming out for the month.
yeah, we could do that. I think this episode will land on the 31st. So I mean, we're like already there. You know what I'm saying, Mike?
Yeah, essentially.
Might as
Might as
well.
well get into it. By the way, we do update the Discord with all new games every month. So we're just trying to sell you on the Discord basically.
I mean, it's, end of the day, trying to help you out, but yeah, join the Discord. I don't know what you're doing.
Yeah. We're trying to keep it more and more active, getting in the voice chats and playing games together. So
Yeah.
let's go ahead and get into the games for April. So let's see here. Starting off, I'm going to try to do these in order and just kind of read them off relatively quickly because there are a handful. I just want to concentrate on a few here and there, right?
Yeah.
So the first one is Star Trek Resurgence. That's going to be on pretty much every single platform except for Nintendo. That's coming out this month. We don't have an actual time for that. But Star Trek, one of the biggest IPs in pretty much cinema or sci-fi in general. So something to keep an eye out for. There is Meet Your Maker. That's coming out April 4th. There's Road 96 Mile Zero. Sherlock Holmes, another big IP coming. It's going to be on the PC, Switch, PS4, 5, Xbox One, X, and S. It's literally every platform. That's April 11th. Ghostwire Tokyo is probably one of the biggest heavy hitters. That is Xbox X and S, April 12th. So a little bit of a delayed release, right? Because that was originally on the PlayStation, right?
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
so.
it was. Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Last year, I think it was pretty recent, right? So, I think it was like
Yeah,
May.
pretty
It
recent.
was like April or May of last year, for sure.
Yeah, good to see though. Following up with that, we got Mega Man, one of the first game IPs I've ever played. It's Mega Man Battle Network Legacy Collection, bunch of collection of the games. April 14th. That's gonna be on the PC, Switch, PlayStation 4. Surprisingly, not 5. So maybe I have that wrong, but PlayStation 4 for that. There's Minecraft Legends, which I mean Minecraft's massive. That's coming out April 18th. You have Horizon Forbidden West, Burning Shores, so another extended DLC pack coming in. That's going to be April 19th. Your favorite game, Dead Island 2, April 21st. Which, is that correct? Or are they going to delay it again?
Don't say that. Stop.
Just all right. I'll leave it alone.
Stop.
I know you're sensitive. It's on every platform except for Switch. You got a couple of games that I have admittedly not heard of, but it's worth mentioning. They have a following. So there's Advance Wars 1 and 2 Reboot Camp. That's on the Switch. That's April 21st. Roots of Pacha, I think. That's on PC, April 25th. And Bramble, the Mountain King, which I think I've heard about this game, but not enough to really comment on. So it's PC, PS5, Xbox Series X and S, Switch, April 27th. And the last one, the biggest heavy hitter, I would say, likely the biggest heavy hitter, is Star Wars Jedi Survivor, PC, PS5, Xbox Series X and S, April 28th. So end of the month.
That is a heavy hitter. God, I forgot
It
about
is certainly
that.
a heavy hitter.
Oh,
Yeah, buddy.
Dang, I may have to get 2 games this month. Crazy.
Yeah, that's how they get you, man. So I'm definitely looking forward to playing that game. I gotta play the first one though. That's on my list of things to do. So I gotta play the first one. I tried to.
Man.
I watched all the cutscenes too, which makes it worse. So it's like
Oh.
I know how the game plays. I know what it's like, and then I saw the ending with Darth Vader, and I'm like, bro, I gotta play the next one. So that's where we're at. That's where we're at right now. So April 28th, Jedi Survivor.
Like, if you hate hard games, don't play it on a hard difficulty. Just saying. But all right. I played it on like hard, whatever that difficulty is. Yeah, dude. Oh man, there was a couple times where I was like, oh, do I dumb down the difficulty? Like, do I do it? Like, do I really
Don't
do
give
it?
up.
But I was like, nah. And I kept playing. I mean, yeah, dude. Some of the final fights took me probably 2 hours. Like, just because I had to replay it so many times. But but I can't lie and say, like, dude, it's gratifying when you finally beat that boss that took you 2 hours. Like, so yeah, it's that kind of game, man. It's that Souls-like.
That's what I kept hearing. That's what I kept seeing. It looked really good. The only thing I wish it had was gore. I love the gore, man. Like I want that like Doom Eternal level gore with the lightsaber, man.
It would go kind of hard in Star Wars too. You know what I'm saying?
It would go so hard. Are you kidding me? Imagine like force crushing people and they literally explode. Like I'm just trying to get really,
wild.
really Darth with it. Trying to get Darth. But we need to have an option to toggle, okay?
Yeah.
We got to have an option to toggle. It's just like, okay, do you want the rated M version or do you want like, rated T?
Yeah. I mean, nowadays there's so many accessibility settings. Like a lot of single player games, especially, you can turn off gore and stuff. So it's like, why not?
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm
saying. Give players the option at the end of the day.
Yeah. Apparently there's a lot of censorship going on in China. I mean, that's kind of a given. But they're getting rid of blood in anime. And they're changing it to white, which I've seen some screenshots, and there are a couple of things where like people are spitting up blood and stuff.
Yeah, they couldn't.
It doesn't look like blood, man.
They couldn't have gone blue or like green or what are we doing? Huh?
I don't know, man. Blue would be the way to go, but purple, who knows?
Something, a little bit of color. Jeez.
Yeah. Hey man, different country, different rules. It is what it is.
Yeah, no kidding. Jeez.
Different cultures as well. So, but I think that's pretty much it for this week's episode. Unless you had something.
I don't got anything, man. Just play some games. This is, ladies and gentlemen, this is the time. You play some video games. You catch up on your catalog before new releases come out, and then you enjoy a couple new releases. But all while you're waiting for all this stuff, join the Discord. Link in the description. And like and subscribe.
By the way, every single one of the articles that we've talked about is in the description below. So wherever you're listening, wherever you're watching, links in the description. Literally every platform. I don't think there's a platform we missed.
At this point, I'm just waiting for the day where we like mess something up and then someone comes in the Discord and roasts us. Like I'm waiting for that day. Hasn't happened yet.
Oh, I can't wait for that.
But
I already am like getting into Twitter arguments with people at like 12 o'clock in the morning over video game stuff. So,
oh man, I love Mike.
Bring it on. Let's have a good time.
Ladies and gentlemen,
it was civil,
man. You know what I mean?
No name calling. I was just right, and they couldn't handle it. So
that's how it is sometimes,
Yeah, you just gotta let them know, man. Anyways, I think it's about time we let the people know. Thank you very much for watching, listening, everything you do for us. This is the M2 Podcast. I'm your host, Michael Anthony. My co-host, KyleHeath. We appreciate you guys tuning in. Give this guy some love. He's the one doing all the edits. I know it's not a lot of edits, but we messed up the mic today. He's got to go back and fix it. So appreciate you, Kyle. We'll appreciate you, and we'll catch you on the next one. Sound good?
Sounds good to me. Thanks for listening, everyone.
Right. Thank you very much. Peace out, guys.
Peace.
Take it easy. See ya.